Trump's next moves on India and Russia. Tariffs on Indian goods surge to 50%, threatening jobs and trade. Russia faces looming a very serious sanctions if war rages on. India leans toward Moscow and Beijing. Ties fray and global power balances shift. The world braces for the fallout. 50%. Fallout, 50%. Half. That's the new price tag slapped on India's goods heading to American shores. This isn't a warning shot. This isn't a negotiation tactic. This is a body blow. Tariffs doubled overnight from 25% to 50%. That's not a policy shift. That's punishment. Pure and simple. Let's be clear. This isn't about mangoes, diamonds, or seafood alone. This is about power. This is about leverage. This is about who calls the shots in the global marketplace. And today, that shot was fired. The message is crystal clear. Play by the rules set in Washington, or pay the price. India has been importing Russian oil, lots of it, discounted crude, a lifeline for its economy. But every barrel that leaves Russian shores, every tanker that docks in India's ports, it cuts straight across American pressure on Moscow. And now the bill has come due. 50% tariff. That's not just math. That's millions of jobs at stake. Jobs in Gujarat's diamond cutting houses. Jobs in Kerala's fishing harbors. Jobs in factories where fabric is stitched into the clothes Americans wear. Entire industries suddenly on the air. And families, real families who depend on those exports to put food on the table, to send kids to school, to survive. This isn't abstract. This is dinner tonight. Think about an $87 billion trade relationship, one of the fastest growing partnerships on the planet. And just like that, the air gets sucked out of it. The projection, it could shrink to $50 billion. That's not just a dip, that's a collapse. That's billions evaporating. Billions that don't employ, don't build, don't grow. But there's more. This isn't only about economics. It's about dignity. It's about pride. India is not some small player on the chessboard. It's a rising power, a nation of 1.4 billion people. To double tariffs is to test that pride, to force a choice. And when you corner a country, when you push it, you don't just wound the economy, you light a fire. Fire. And here's the raw truth. This move isn't just aimed at India. It's a signal to the world, to anyone thinking they can walk both sides of the street, to nations who think they can balance Washington on one hand and Moscow on the other. The signal is this: you can't. You pick. Or you pay, or you pay. The stakes are enormous, not just for trade, not just for diplomacy, but for ordinary people. American consumers will feel it too. That jewelry on Fifth Avenue, pricier. That shrimp cocktail in New York, more expensive. That handmade furniture from Jaipur, out of reach. This isn't just numbers on a chart. It's choices in a grocery store, a wedding ring on a finger, the cost of living creeping higher. 50%. Say it again. 50. It's a line in the sand. A line that divides cooperation from confrontation. A line that forces a question. Who bends and who doesn't? India now stands at that line. Does it step back from Moscow's oil? Or does it double down, pivot away, and find new allies? Every decision carries weight. Every decision carries weight. Every decision has consequences. This is the world recalibrating in real time. And make no mistake, this is just the beginning. Economic warfare doesn't stop with one tariff. It escalates. Retaliation looms. New barriers rise. Friendships fracture. The pressure doesn't end. It builds. It builds until something gives. So here we are, 50% tariff. A number that is more than policy, more than economics. It is raw power laid bare, and the world is watching. India is watching. Russia is watching. And yes, America is watching too. 87 billion, that was the trade. The lifeline, the connection between two massive democracies. $87 billion in goods, services, and livelihoods moving back and forth. And now, fast, the blade came down. Tariffs doubled from 25 to 50%. Cut is deep. And the fallout is already here. This isn't just a chart on a screen. This is fishermen in Kerala, diamond cutters in Surat, textile workers in Tamil Nadu, families in small towns who stitch, polish, pack, and ship the goods that land in American homes. Every tariff dollar is a nail in their future. Every percentage point is a job slipping away. Textiles hit hard. The fabric that clothes America now carries a price tag too heavy to compete. Gems and jewelry, strangled. The diamonds cut with precision. The stones polished by calloused hands, now priced out of the market. Seafood, drowning under duties. Shrimp and fish, the pride of Indian waters, now sit unwanted, too costly to ship. too expensive to sell. And furniture, entire factories in Rajasthan and beyond face silence machines idle, orders canceled. The number tells the story. From a $7 billion down to $50 billion. That's not a dip. That's not a slowdown. That's a free fall. That's billions erased. And with them, hundreds of thousands of jobs. Fathers losing wages, mothers forced out of work, young people, graduates, skilled workers, suddenly with no place to go. The human toll is staggering. And here's the urgency. Trade isn't just money. It's dignity. It's survival. For the street vendor whose daughter depends on school fees. For the factory worker whose family depends on a weekly wage. For the exporter who built a business from nothing, only to see it crumble under a policy announced thousands of miles away. It's not abstract. It's not distant. It's real. It's the difference between paying rent or losing a home. The difference between a meal on the table or going without. This is life. And this is what happens when economic war breaks out. Make no mistake. The ripple doesn't stop in India. It flows back. American consumers feel it. The shrimp on the plate at a restaurant in Boston. Pricier. The handmade furniture in Los Angeles, out of reach. The diamonds on display in New York, all more expensive. This isn't just a penalty for India. This is a cost passed along to everyday Americans. But the deeper cut is trust. The bond between nations. The promise of partnership. That's what's unraveling. Tariffs aren't just dollars. They're signals. And this signal says, loyalty has a price. And if you don't pay, you're punished. So what happens next? That's the question hanging over every exporter, every policymaker, every family caught in the crossfire. Does trade heal or does it bleed out further? Does India bend? Or does it stand its ground, pivot away, and look elsewhere for markets, for allies, for relief? And here's the raw truth. When you hit workers where it hurts most, when you rip away livelihoods, when you undercut dignity, people don't forget. Families don't forget. Nations don't forget. Nations don't forget. 87 billion. The fall isn't just about numbers. It's about people. It's about lives. It's about the painful reality of economic coercion. And the world is watching to see who can endure, who can adapt, and who will rise from the wreckage. The pivot is real. The shift is undeniable. A nation once straddling two worlds is now leaning hard in another direction. India, 1.4 billion strong, is recalibrating, turning its head, looking east, looking north, looking to Moscow, looking to Beijing. The stage is shifting, and the ripple, it's global. Why? Because pressure has consequences. Tariffs don't just tax goods, they tax relationships, they tax trust, they tax the very idea of partnership. And when one door slams shut, another door opens. That's what's happening right now. Rooms where Russia is waiting with energy deals, rooms where China is ready with infrastructure promises, rooms where the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is building a table and India is sitting down at it. It's not just diplomacy, it's survival. India needs oil, needs gas, needs markets for its textiles, its seafood, its diamonds. And when the West turns cold, India finds warmth elsewhere. Whoa, swear. That's not betrayal. That's math. That's necessity. That's how nations survive when squeezed. Picture this. Moscow offering crude oil at a discount. India takes it. Ships arrive, refineries run, lights stay on. Now picture China whispering promises of investment, technology, new trade corridors. India listens. Because when you're pushed away, you lean into whoever pulls you closer. That's the pivot. That's the recalibration. And the symbolism is massive. The Prime Minister walking into the SCO summit, shaking hands with leaders who were once rivals, sitting down with neighbors once eyed with suspicion. That's not just optics. That's a message. The message, India has options. India has leverage. India doesn't beg. India moves. But let's be clear. This isn't easy. This isn't comfortable. It's risky. Aligning more closely with Moscow ties India to a war economy, a pariah in many eyes. Moving toward Beijing puts India side by side with a competitor that has clashed with it on the border, a rival for influence across Asia. These are not natural allies. These are complicated partners. But when pressure builds, choices get made. And this is the choice being made right now. The stakes, immense. This isn't just about oil. This is about the future balance of power. If India drifts further from the West, the entire strategic map of the 21st century tilts. Supply chains change. Alliances fracture. Global politics rewire. The dominoes fall fast. And for ordinary people, this isn't abstract. This is fuel prices in Delhi. This is jobs in Mumbai. This is the availability of goods in Chennai. This is about how families live day to day. Who provides the energy that powers their homes? Who buys the goods that keep their factories running? It's not theory. It's life. Repetition matters here because the truth matters here. India is shifting. India is shifting. India is shifting. And every move is being watched. Every handshake recorded. Every new deal scrutinized. Because when a country of this size pivots, the entire world feels the weight. This is the reality. Choices under pressure. Alignments under strain. A new chapter being written in real time. India stepping into different rooms. India sitting at different tables. And the rest of the world realizing the game has changed. The silence speaks louder than words. Calls not answered. Lines left ringing. A leader choosing not to pick up. That silence is a message. A message of defiance. A message of frustration. A message of power. When a leader avoids the phone, it's not an accident. It's intentional. It's calculated. It's a signal to the world that pressure won't bend them. That threats won't move them. That demands won't define them. This is pride. This is resistance. This is standing tall in the face of someone trying to push you down. Think about what it means on the other side of that unanswered call. Frustration, anger, a bruised ego. But on this side, a decision, a refusal to be cornered, a refusal to be lectured, a refusal to bow when the stakes are national dignity and sovereignty. This isn't just about two leaders. It's about two nations. It's about billions of people. It's about a relationship that once carried hope, optimism, the promise of partnership, and is now cracking under the weight of mistrust and punishment. Silence on a phone line becomes silence between allies, and silence between allies turns into distance that reshapes the world the tariffs hurt. That's undeniable. They strike at exporters, workers, families who depend on trade. Factories go quiet. Orders dry up. Paychecks disappear. But this silence, this choice to avoid the call, says something louder. Dignity matters more than dollars. Pride matters more than pressure. And for the people watching at home, for the millions who see their leader refusing to bend, it's both painful and empowering. Painful because they know the cost. Empowering because they see strength. They see someone unwilling to be bullied, unwilling to be treated as less, unwilling to be spoken to as though their nation is disposable. Every unanswered call adds weight. Every silence deepens the rift. Every missed conversation makes reconciliation harder, the gap wider. But it also steals resolve. It forces new thinking. It pushes new alliances. It sparks new strategies for survival. The raw truth is this. Silence is not weakness. Silence can be power. Silence can be louder than shouting. And right now, silence is resistance. Refusing to pick up is refusing to surrender. Refusing to pick up is refusing to allow someone else to dictate your choices. Refusing to pick up is staking a claim. We will not be lectured into submission. This is high-stakes diplomacy played without words. This is defiance written in quiet tones. And this is what the world is watching, one answered call at a time. And yet, the cost grows. Tariff/trade, families feel the strain. Businesses face collapse. The silence may inspire pride, but it doesn't erase the pain. This is the tension of the moment, strength versus survival, pride versus practicality, silence versus dialogue. But sometimes silence is the only answer left. When words have been twisted, when threats replace respect, when dialogue becomes dictation, the silence itself becomes the statement. So the world watches phones ring, calls go unanswered, and the silence carries a truth as raw and undeniable as any speech. We will not bend. We will not bow. We will not break. The warning is out there. A very serious sanctions. Those two words hang heavy, not idle threats, not empty talk. They're a promise of economic pain, a promise of pressure that cuts deep. Because when the world is on fire, when bombs are falling, when civilians are running for their lives, money becomes the weapon. Sanctions, not missiles, not tanks, sanctions. Because money moves faster than soldiers. Money suffocates economies. Money brings leaders to their knees. And that's the path being chosen. If the war doesn't end, if the guns don't go quiet, the financial news tightens. Hard. The target is clear. Moscow's lifeline. Oil, gas, banking. The arteries of a system that funds the war machine. Cut them off and the machine slows. Cut them off and the machine breaks. That's the theory. That's the plan. That's the strategy. And make no mistake, this isn't symbolic. This isn't a business as usual. These are sanctions designed to bite, to hurt, to make it impossible for Russia to trade, to bank, to borrow, to grow. It's about making every move more expensive, every transaction a struggle, Every day, a reminder that the world won't sit back while the war grinds on. But sanctions don't just punish leaders. Ripple out. They hit ordinary people, families, workers, others standing in line for groceries, fathers searching for medicine, kids caught in the middle of a crisis they didn't create. That's the brutal truth of economic war. The powerful may feel the pressure in boardrooms. The powerless feel it in kitchens. Still, the calculation is clear. If the pain is high enough, if the pressure is relentless, maybe the war ends sooner. Maybe the cost outweighs the pride. Maybe the guns stop. That's the hope. That's the gamble. And here's the urgency. Sanctions don't wait. They choke every day. They remind every business, every citizen, every bank that survival just got harder. This is daily life turned into daily struggle. Inflation soaring, shelves empty, futures uncertain. It's raw. It's harsh. It's intentional. Because the alternative is worse. More bombs, more bodies, more destruction. So the choice is economic warfare now, or physical devastation without end. The world watches this play out in real time. Will Russia bend? Will it adjust? Will it ignore the pain and dig in deeper? History tells us sanctions can drag on, can last years, decades even. But history also tells us they change behavior slowly, relentlessly, and that's the point. There's a message here, and it's unmistakable. Actions have consequences. Choices have costs. And this time, the cost is not measured in speeches or promises. It's measured in rubles, in trade, in the ability to survive economically. So we stand at the edge of another escalation. Sanctions looming like a storm cloud. A storm that doesn't strike once, but keeps pouring day after day until everything beneath it drowns. And the world waits to see, does the pressure end the war, or does it fuel defiance? The threat is real. The pain will be real. And the truth is unavoidable. Economic weapons can be just as powerful as military ones, maybe even more, because they don't stop at borders. They seep into every home, every market, every life. This is the fight now. Not with guns, with money, not with bullets, with sanctions. And the stakes couldn't be higher.